Hey everyone, Hurricane Liz here, back for another Amazon ads video. And in this video, I'm going to give you the top 6 things I've learned after running hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of ads that have generated millions of dollars in sales, including the best tips that I got from a $50 million seller on Amazon advertising. Now, he is one of the biggest experts in the world at selling supplements and Amazon PPC, and I got to interview him yesterday live on my actual online seminar, which typically costs upwards of $13,000. So this guy is the real deal, and he basically just blew my mind with the amount of information that he was going to give me. So I'm going to share a bit from that with you guys in this actual countdown of the 6 biggest things that I've learned. So I am super fired up. I hope you guys are too, because this is going to open up your eyes to a whole new way of doing Amazon ads, whether it's for your t-shirts and or your books and or your FBA products. I've run ads for all 3, and all 3 are very different. So I'm going to tell you the differences in this video, as well as the lessons I learned and how to adjust your campaigns depending on what you're selling. So let's go ahead and do this. All right, so the number one biggest mistake that I've made when actually doing this is varying the bidding depending on what you're selling. So here's what I mean. If you're selling an FBA product, then obviously your bids are going to be up at the highest, particularly if you're selling supplements. So yesterday on the actual interview with the $50 million seller, he primarily sells supplements. So his minimum bid is usually somewhere in the $4 to $5 range. And depending on what the supplement is, it can go much higher. However, with something like a t-shirt, the bid is going to be significantly lower. So you're looking probably in about the dollar range somewhere, and or even other Amazon FBA products that aren't as competitive as supplements. You're looking somewhere in the $1 to $2 range, possibly even higher. However, with Kindle books or KDP books, the bid is going to be significantly lower. In some cases, you can even get away with 20 cents to 30 cents as your minimum actual bid. So the biggest mistake that I was making is I was just going out guns blazing with Kindle books and treating them as if they were somewhere in the mid-range Amazon FBA products. And that is completely wrong. Start your bids low. The worst that you can do is if you see 0 impressions coming in or very few impressions, you can start to raise those bids by 20 to 30% every single day until more impressions roll through. And once you see a lot of impressions rolling through, then you can kind of ease back and leave the bid as such. And usually that will be no more than into the 30 to 40 cent range. All right, so the second biggest mistake that I seem to have been making was the simple fact that I usually start my campaigns with as few keywords as possible so I can focus and concentrate the majority of my actual budget on those actual keywords. But according to the $50 million seller, he likes to have over 500 keywords in a campaign, which is the same that a lot of the actual KDP ninjas out there have actually posted in the comments below. They've told me, Liz, put more keywords in your campaign. Now, I will say this much. More keywords in your campaign means that a lot of your actual budget is spread across a ton of different keywords, so that budget might not reach its maximum because there are so many available keywords. So what that means is if you don't run it for that long, you might not allow some keywords to get the opportunity to actually share some of that budget. Now that could be a bad thing in the long run, especially if you have a good book. So what I advise is, again, start with whatever budget you'd regularly start, put in a bunch of keywords, put those bids at about 20 to 30 cents, see how that rolls. And if you see a bunch of keywords not getting impressions or not getting anything, and the book is actually making some sales and you're doing a good job and either breaking even or making some money or losing a little bit of money, then you might want to raise that bid up and see if more of those actual keywords get some of those impressions so that you in turn can get more sales. Now remember, more sales generated via PPC equal more organic sales. It's statistically proven. I've seen the data, and I've seen a lot of top level sellers actually show me that it in fact is true. So by spending more on ads, you improve your organic ranking and or you make more sales. Okay, lesson number 3 is make sure you check those campaigns every single couple days after you start. And the reason for that is you don't want to let any get out of hand like I did. And I'm going to show you guys a screenshot of what I mean by getting out of hand. All right, so here we are in one of my actual accounts, and you're going to see right here that we have a product right here. This one got completely out of hand. 165% ACOS, 588%, 183% ACOS. And I basically came out guns blazing on this actual count. 155% ACOS, and that's for the primary reason that I did not check this account every couple days. I kind of just let it run for 3 weeks, and I wanted to see what would happen if I allowed it to run at the maximum bid possible and just let it spew money. As a result, Yes, I did rank on page 1 for some terms, but not all, because of the simple fact that my actual cover didn't get as high as CTR as I hoped because it totally sucked. So number 1, you can clearly see if your cover's good or not by the amount of people that actually click through on it. And number 2, if you're not generating any sales for some of those keywords within a couple days, you're going to have to cut them off. You're going to have to optimize them, and you're going to have to stop the bleeding. Don't be a dummy like I was, and don't allow yourself to spend the maximum amount of possible and then end up with a book that doesn't even really sell that well. Now, some of you might ask, well, how much is enough, right? And how will I know if a keyword is good or bad? Ultimately, you want to at least hit a break-even ACOS, and the reason for that is when you hit that break-even number, again, your organic sales will start to climb. As your paid sales, if they break even, that's fine. Your organic sales will gradually grow. Amazon is largely becoming a pay-to-play arena, and so those that spend more money will be rewarded by organic rankings. So ultimately, you have to decide how much you want to spend maximum for every single actual keyword. One thing that I strongly advise is when you first start, you might allow your ACOS to be a little higher than what your ultimate goal is. And that's exactly what some of the sellers on my summit were saying. And then at some point, cut that by about half. So if you want to be at 21% ACOS, then it might be fine to first allow them to run at 40% just to see how the book sells and just to get a feel for if you're starting to get some more organic traction. Don't be shy and allow yourself to spend a little bit of money. Make sure at the beginning you budget this in for your book, as this is advertising costs, and this is, like I said, becoming one of the things that is a must from now moving forward if you're going to want to sell a lot of books. Now, different situations could call for different things. So if you're first trying to see how well a book does, then your numbers will be drastically different than if you have a winner and you're just trying to scale that winner to get more sales. And what I mean by that is if you're just testing out a book, then your bids could be between 20 cents to 25 cents. And you could say, hey, I'm going to cut off all keywords once they reach about 5 to 6 clicks, or $1 and they're just done. Versus if you already have a book that's winning and you're trying to scale the campaign, you could have a higher bid size of 30 to 50 cents and then say, all right, I'm going to give this keyword a chance to run because I just want to generate the maximum amount of sales no matter what it costs me, because of the simple fact that I see my organic sales rising and I see my organic rank increasing. And now I'm on the top of page 1 as compared to the bottom of page 1. So your numbers there could be drastically different, meaning you could spend about 2 to 3 per actual keyword or 11 to 20 some clicks. So hopefully that makes sense. If not, I'll always clarify it in the questions and answers below. Mistake number 4, and possibly one of the biggest mistakes, especially novice PPC users actually make, is saying, hey, the book's profitable, the book's on page 1, I'm going to cut off my campaigns completely. And now, while that might sound like a great idea, and that might sound like that's the reason we started this to begin with, in order to have a book that ranks really well organically and sells very well, the chances are that when you do that, you're also cutting off your sales. So what you want to really look for is you want to look for 2 things. A, is your campaign profitable to begin with? And if it is, then it makes 0 sense for you to cut it off. And B, if the campaign is not profitable at all, yet your organic rank is the best it possibly can be, say for example, it is ranked number 1 overall for almost all your keywords, what you might actually do is just lower your bidding so the campaign still runs. Remember, Amazon is a pay-to-play platform, so the worst thing you could do is cut off the campaign completely and then allow one of your competitors to show Amazon that they want to put some skin in the game, and then pretty much one day overtake your actual ranking and crushing your organic sales. I've seen it happen time and time again, and I've seen a lot of people saying, Liz, I can't understand why my book's not selling anymore. It was, and usually the culprit of all that was a simple fact that they turned off their ads when they were actually making sales, and they were ranked excellent in terms of organic rankings. So don't make the mistake of turning them off. Make sure you show Amazon that you're willing to pay to play. All right, the 5th biggest mistake that I see Amazon sellers make is usually when it deals with having an already profitable book that's doing extremely well and you want to scale it. And that's the fact that they never run an automatic campaign because they're afraid what kind of keywords Amazon actually picks for them. And while this might sound like it's correct, the reality is that you never know what keywords an automatic campaign can bring to your attention that you never would have otherwise thought of. And that's why it's important to always run an automatic campaign if you have a big budget in the beginning on a brand new book, and or if you have a book that you're just trying to scale, because you can never tell what brand new keywords will pop up that could be home runs and make you many, many more sales a day on Amazon. So don't be shy and do bid extra on those actual automatic campaigns. Put in an extra part of your budget just in order to run them, and you'll be surprised at what kind of profits you can make with them. All right, and the 6th and final thing that I have learned when running all this is that the typical best match types to start off with when you start running these campaigns are phrase and exact. I no longer run broad, and again, this is a tip from the $50 million a year seller. Broad is pretty much useless, and you could get so much more out of phrase and exact, and broad will usually drain your budget faster than Speedy Gonzalez will run away from immigration. And yeah, don't take offense if you're Mexican. I'm Mexican too, but I find that extremely funny. It could just be my bad sense of humor, but I didn't mean any offense to anyone with that comment. All right, so don't be shy. Get out there, spend some money on PPC. Let me know what questions and or comments you guys have below. I will always personally answer them, and I hope you got something from these tips that I know not only learned from the years and years of doing PPC and the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that I spent, but also by rubbing shoulders with some of the biggest Amazon sellers out there, making upwards of $50 million and still being able to supply me with good information. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.